Hi, this is Lauren with Verivest, and today we are speaking with Todd Gooding and Chris Cordial from SKB. Welcome, guys. We're really excited to speak with you today.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I'd like to just get started and hear a little bit of your origin story and have you tell me how you ended up where you are today.
Sure. So ScanlanKemperBard Companies was founded in 1993. I joined the firm in 1996. The SK and the B are all retired, and I'm now the longest tenured employee in the history of the firm. We've been, like I said, doing this since 1993. We have roughly 5 million square feet in assets today. We've invested 4.7 billion in total investment activity and about 29 million feet, primarily in the Western United States.
Yeah. Chris, do you want to tell a little of your background?
Sure. I used to be I started out with SKB as a passive investor back in the early 2000s. I was a young commodities trader on the old New York Mercantile Exchange. And so I started investing with SKB, much as high net worth investors come in today. And then after I left commodity trading in 2010, Bob and Todd called me up and asked me if I wanted to come on board and help fill Bob Scanlan's original role, the SKB, as the person at the firm in charge of helping raise capital from on the high net worth side. So I joined in 2016. And I'm now an active partner and help SKB with the capital raises.
Great. Thank you both. So how would you say that you source deal flow? What's your acquisition strategy?
Yeah, so I would say, we've been doing this for a long time. We've had realizations of over 100 transactions. And prior to my involvement with SKB, I was involved in real estate on the West Coast. Bob Scanlan, my former partner, spent 30 years on the West Coast in real estate. And so we just have a lot of deep relationships, and we participate in bid opportunities, but we also are able to source a lot of off-market opportunities. And most of our off-market opportunities are coming from owners of, private owners of businesses versus institutional owners. And what I'd like to say is, these buildings have institutional opportunity, although they might not be institutional now. And so that's, and we've got a team of 6 investment professionals that we dedicate to each individual market and take it from there.
Yeah. And so what would you say are the key markets that you operate in, and why do you choose those markets?
Sure. So we, Portland, Seattle, San Francisco Bay Area, Denver, and Phoenix are our 5 markets today. And for the most part, they all center around technology economies. And that's the primary reason we're invested in those assets. If you look at the employment growth opportunities in those markets, they have far exceeded employment growth in the rest of the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the Pacific Northwest, there's been such a boom in those specific areas in terms of companies coming there, and also just the real estate market. So I'm sure you guys have been busy.
Yes, we have. It's been, on average, we do about anywhere from $300 to $500 million a year in new investment activity.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And then what would you say is your investment philosophy? How do you determine whether a deal is worth doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the thing that we look at first and foremost is, how do we not lose money? And I think the other thing that we look to is, what's the next great neighborhood, so to speak. And from our perspective, look, everybody can tout that they're really good operationally, they know what they're doing, they know how to do it. but everybody needs a little bit of wind at their back. And I think one thing that we're really good at is identifying. It's easy to invest in a great neighborhood in Bellevue or Cherry Creek, in Denver or something like that. But it's much harder to find where the population base and where the employment base is going. And that usually gives us a little bit of tail, or a little bit of wind at our tail to allow us to do what we do, which is, obviously, I think we do a pretty good job of on the operational side and the construction side to get these buildings leased.
Yeah. And how do you generate value once you've made an investment? What's your risk mitigation strategy that you put forward?
Well, I'd say the first and foremost, we really look at our going in basis and how much of a discount is that to replacement cost, and how much how does our basis compare to raw land value? And in the case of replacement cost, if there's a huge discount to replacement cost, we feel very good about that execution. Or if our land purchase price is a small percentage over our land value, we feel very good about that. And so that's where we start. And then we, all of our projects are, we try and develop a community around them, and it comes together in the form of, we typically have a food and beverage component in every one of our projects, and we also include the arts in our projects. And for us, that's kind of the secret sauce that allows us, for people that want to, that they want a lease space from us. It's not just a option. And then in some of our suburban assets or suburban mixed use assets, we provide a concierge service that allows the tenants to, do what they do and come to work, get done what they need to get done, enjoy the amenities there. And but there's also event programming and laundry service, or whatever else somebody might need. Somebody might need to from that concierge programming that we offer.
Right. Okay. So basically, you create these projects and properties that really gear towards your clients that you have and kind of your tenants, and making sure that the community is really positive that they work in.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously you guys work together well. You've spoken a little to the previous partners, but what would you say, or who would you say are the key players involved that allow you to execute your acquisition and asset management strategy?
Yeah. So I'm the chief investment officer, and I kind of oversee all investment decisions in the firm. James Paul has been with us for just over 20 years now, and he runs all the asset management operations side of the assets. We've got Rich Marine, who oversees all of our institutional relationships. And I might add on that front that almost all of our investments have institutional investors. And so our high net worth investors like the fact that they could invest alongside those institutional investors. And then John Olivier, who runs our development group, has a long history in ground up development, a lawyer by background. And then Chris Cordial, who you're meeting here today, has been instrumental in keeping our high net worth investor relationships going.
Yeah. And, Chris, before we end our interview, I'd love to hear from you as well, too, just a little bit of your strategies that you feel you put forward, and a little bit of your, background and how you add that to SKB.
Yeah, I think, coming in as a passive investor for so many years before taking an active role really helps me to understand both SKB and what investors might be looking for. So I think that helps me, wear one shoe on the sponsor side with SKB and one shoe on the investor side. And then to add, to what Todd mentioned about many of the deals having an institutional partner associated with them. For me, you know, that was that really helps. I mean, that is really something that speaks for itself. I know a lot of investors out there who have a lot of wonderful choices for private equity real estate investing, especially with, you know, groups like Verivest offering them, you know, high quality sponsors and high quality offerings to choose from. But, you know, much like, you know, you go into the grocery store nowadays, you know, there's probably an over diversification, too many to choose from. And so as an investor, how do you make sense of it all, right? And I think at the end of the day, 30 years in the business, or just short of 30 years now for SKB, and the fact that these institutional partners are coming on board for the big equity check, I think that speaks pretty highly to SKB's sophistication and their level of experience and expertise. So that always helps start the conversation. But you know, my role as SKB is, as Todd mentioned, is to be the liaison with between SKB and the high net worth investors who are considering their offerings. So that's where I'm happy to fill in.
Absolutely. Perfect. Well, Chris and Todd, thank you so much for speaking with me today and telling me a little bit more about SKB. We really look forward to working together, and you know, it was amazing to speak with you.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everybody.